Step one is you need awareness. And again, you probably say this so often and people have probably heard this so frequently, but if you don't have awareness on your attachment style towards money and how your nervous system is when you receive money or when money leaves you, when you have to pay your bills or give money away, I want people to create just a scenario of awareness around how you feel and how you think when you receive money, when you pay money, when you look at your bank account, when you open your purse or your wallet, and just notice, how do I feel? Do I have shallow breathing? Do I feel relaxed? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel scarce? Do I feel abundant? Just step one is have awareness on how do I feel and how do I think about my money.
When one thing breaks upstairs, and we're doing our quarterly huddle this last Monday, and there's 9 executives in a room. One executive that's not reliable bleeds their work into their peers. So the peers are like, oh my God, again, this guy breaks something, I gotta do it now, right? But a reliable executive, they all look at him and say, he's got this. I know for a fact he's got this. If you need anything, let us know, but I know you got it. The team knows it's gonna get done. The boss, the CEO knows it's gonna get done, and their peers knows that's gonna get done. The number one, in my opinion, is being reliable.
And I thought to myself, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I wish I could do that. And then when I was probably around 12 or 13, I realized you actually could do that. You could actually get the job of being a commando. And then it was just a matter of figuring out which one of the American branches had the closest thing to what I thought was a British commando. And the closest thing that I found was being in the Navy and being in the SEAL teams.
So those of you guys in this room with a dream to do something great with your life, and you're kind of average and ordinary, maybe you're not the smartest dude in the world or the biggest dude in the world, but you want to do something great with your life, maybe I can be an example of that. Because I know what it's like not to feel great about what you're doing, to doubt whether you're doing this. And I just got to tell you something, I'm an example this stuff pays off.
In the financial world in general, there's a lot of us. I grew up in that world, and I'm a nerd by nature and got a degree in finance, for God's sakes. And so in other words, I thought the way to fix everything was with math. And math treats the symptom, not the problem. And what our brand differentiator, and it may be the difference in what you're talking about as well, is that we did come to understand that it's a behavior problem. It's personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge. I've said that like, I don't know, 8 million times in 30 years. And, but it is. And the problem with my money is the guy in my mirror. If I can get him to behave, he can be skinny and rich. And we've talked about this, all these lines, these riffs that we do, and we do them over and over and over and over and over again. And, but that's the differentiator. That's the thing that said, oh yeah, because I mean, knowing how to do a budget is different than actually doing one.
So if I'm 25, I would be less concerned about the industry, because back then I may have been cocky, but I wasn't yet certain if my philosophies were right or wrong, because there's not validation in the marketplace yet. You wrote a book about this where you're kind of covering the facade to kind of impose you got, but you don't know.
Most people, most champions do not have something that you do not have. They lack something that you have. For a champion in the physical realm, a lot of times it's they don't have an off switch. They just keep going. You have an off switch. It is their lack of it, which is what drives their success.
Watch our parents in their relationship. We tend to develop the relationship style of our parents unless we learn how to heal as a teenager and have some type of breakthrough. We're creating some type of attachment style based on what we see with our parents. But think about all the conversations your parents had around money. And if your parents didn't have a secure relationship, if they fought, did they fight about money? Were you involved in the conversation about how expensive things were? About your school or sports or programs that they had to pay for they couldn't afford? Did they argue? Did they have challenges? Did they get divorced? Money is one of the biggest reasons people get divorced. It's one of the biggest arguments in marriage as well. So just notice, is my nervous system, is my body, is my energy, are my thoughts stressed out around money? Do I feel scarce or do I feel abundant?
And so there's a concept of duplication. There's an element of people getting better when they're managed and led by a very effective executive. If you look at somebody and they'll get started with you and you'll have a conversation with them and say, okay, I'm curious, you've been here now for 2 years, yes. How many people have gotten better that work directly to you? What do you mean? Tell me who works directly with you that you coach, that you took them from a 6 to a 7.5. Tell me who you took from a 7 to an 8, from a 5 to a 7. Who? If you can't find people around them, that is not an effective executive. That person could be good for process. That person could be good for thinking. That person could be good for strategy, but that person is not good at duplicating themselves.
Guess what they want? You ready? And guess what you want? You want to be happier. You got to link everything to people's happiness. You think that's ridiculous. So I'm going to kill some termites, they're going to be happier. Yep. They think if you did pest control, at the end of the day, the greatest influencers get the people want to be happier. All of you want to be happier. You think if I become a millionaire, I'll be happier. If I get that baller jet, I'll be happier. If I'm making 100 grand, I'll be happier. If I lose 30 pounds, I'll be happier. If I protect my family with security, my family will be happier.
I think that's the difference. And then what has happened is that if you go through and you do the stuff that we teach, and we've got the systems in place to help you be held accountable to do it, and encourage you when you're struggling and scared and hopeless. But if you're arrogant, prideful, either way, we're going to be there in your grill, saying we love you so much that you need to change. If you do the stuff and you actually make the changes due to the accountability because keep doing what you've been doing, you keep getting what you've been getting, so you got to change the recipe. So if you change the recipe, you have success.
I was 18 years old when I joined the Navy, and I joined on a contract that got me sent to SEAL training, and it took a year to get through, so I was 19 when I finished that up. But there's always debates about, well, don't you want someone that's more experienced? And I actually loved the fact that I was basically raised in the SEAL teams. It was just awesome. It was an awesome way to grow up. It was an awesome way to spend those years of your life learning the trade that you wanted to learn. And so I thought it was awesome, and I think it worked out pretty well. There is usually the percentage of people that make it through SEAL training is about 20%. People that are under the age of 20, it goes down to about 5%. So yeah, I was one of those like small percentage of people that are very young but still make it through.
And over the last 12 years, obviously the last year she got promoted to become the president of the insurance company, but the 12 years, she spent the most time in the rooms negotiating chaotic moments, conflict, about to go out of business, finances, all these things that we got to do. She saw so much of that now, when those things come up, she's not even thinking about it. It's like, yeah, here's what we're going to do. 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 We're going to do this. Because she's seen how to manage that. So the edge is working under somebody that's a killer, and you're able to get behind closed doors.
So, number one is that priorities mean two things cannot be equally important. And here's the mentally challenging thing about this, is that when you work on something, and let's say I spend 30 minutes on this thing and I spend 30 minutes on item B. If I spend 30 minutes on both things and I say this one's more important than this one, I can say that, but that's not reality, because I basically just said they were both important, which means neither of them are, which is why most people cannot get shit done, because they cannot say no.
Money is one of the biggest reasons people get divorced. It's one of the biggest arguments in marriage as well. So just notice, is my nervous system, is my body, is my energy, are my thoughts stressed out around money? Do I feel scarce or do I feel abundant? That's kind of step one, and then step two is understanding your money story. Because when you can reflect on your money story, you can see what your money personality style is today.
And every time people talked about this guy, he's like, man, I'd be sitting next to him. He would tell me, you're not doing enough this. What are you complaining about this? You chose to be a leader. Why do you always make it? You told me you wanted to be. It's like, oh my God, man, this guy's always challenging me. No matter what, he's always kicking my ass to get better. It's like freaking amazing, but come on, man. But there's that element, right? You can do more. You can do a little bit more. You can do a little bit more. You can do a little bit more. That tough yet likable executive that's constantly challenging you for whatever reason, they get the best out of their people.
People do not have to believe what you're saying. In fact, too many of you spend too much time trying to get people to believe what you're saying. And you come across like a beggar because of it. You seem desperate. Who's ever trained you to get people to believe what you're saying doesn't get influence. There's a subtle difference that the great ones know. And you've probably never been told this before, but I know it. And persuasion is not about getting people to believe what you're saying. You ready? Persuasion is about getting people to believe.
different ones of those were stepping at different times, and it caused our actual revenue growth to not stair step, but to be fairly smooth.
Interesting.
On a curve.
Got it.
But like, you know, if we went, for instance, to Financial Peace University, it went through different seasons where it would go wee, and then it would stop, and it would just sit, you know, and we're kind of in one of those stop and sit modes now because we're making this transition.
There's some internal drive that you either have or you don't have. And if you have it, you won't quit. And if you don't have it, you're gonna quit. And it breaks people. The other thing is, you might be an exceptional swimmer, and you might be exceptional upper body strength, but you're not that fast a runner. They're gonna find that out. Or you might be a fast runner, but a bad swimmer. They're gonna find out what your weakness is. You might not like the cold. They're gonna see it. You might not like the boat on your head. They're gonna see it. They might see that you have a bad temper. They're gonna find that, and they're gonna pick at that thing to either make you come out the other side or make you quit.
I'm not worried about it because the way the market works is in the following way. It's mathematically impossible for the market to not pay what you are worth, period. It's mathematically impossible. You can lose it all. The market will say he's going through a bad season, she's going through a bad season. Within a year, 2 years, 3 years, the market's still gonna come back and give you that money. Now, if you made a fatal mistake, if you made a royal mistake, what does that mean? If you lost your money over the last 20 years because the way people saw who you were for 20 years was a profile of a guy who did this, great. And then all of a sudden you flip, and you all of a sudden start doing something dumb that has not been part of who you've known you for 20 years, then yes, the market is not going to be the same. You just ruin your reputation in the marketplace.
Don't need new things to add to the routine. You need to have a routine of saying no and an anti-routine, and that is the thing that's going to yield those outsized returns on productivity. You can't say yes to everything, and therefore it means that you can't do two things with different levels of importance. It's either important or it's not important. If it's important, it means you need to say no to everything else. All right? So if you say this is the priority, then it means you do not do other things besides that thing. That is how it is a priority. That is how you literally prioritize.
I wasn't as well off as the other kids in my class, so I always felt a little bit beneath everyone else. And so my belief system was around that. I'm just a little bit under everyone else. Everyone else is doing a little bit better than this. Sure, we have a home and I'm going to school, but everyone's got rollerblades, I'm in sneakers. People have Nintendo, I don't have one. I'm reading a book, whatever it is. It was like I was a little bit beneath. And that started to shape my story, my personality style. So I felt very insecure around money. And when I got it, I got really excited, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I was also like afraid, I was insecure, and I was just unsure of it. And it really started to shape my personality style. Now, when I was in my teen years, my dad started to make more money and started to teach me a little bit, but I was still like I want to be a teenager, I don't want to think about this stuff, it seems confusing, I just want to have fun.
And 5, 6, 7 people interview this person. Great, we think this is going to be, we did the test, strength finder, everything good. All right, make him the offer. He starts in 2 weeks, comes day 1. Week and a half goes by, this guy's not going to work out. Why not? It's just not going to work out. Why? Culturally, this is not a fit. I'm telling you right now. Everybody that's around them, they say his anxiety level is at the highest level. Everybody feels like they work for them. It's like so bossy in the culture and the way they speak. So it's a little bit of speaking down. I didn't see this in the interview process, but this is not going to work out. We just have to make a decision. It's better for a different company, not us. And they'll sit down and say, sorry, this is not going to work out. We wish you nothing but the very best, but this is not a fit. They're able to do that faster rather than later.
I love that most people don't take anything seriously. I love that most people aren't coachable. I love that most people don't do what I teach or that anybody teaches. I love that. That's how certain people win. Half of y'all haven't written a damn word down I've said. If you were in my team, I'd slap the hell out of you. I don't say that disrespectfully. I say this as a dipshit who had a Velcro car. I don't say that talking down to you. I say, wake up! You want to win? You want to be a millionaire? You got to quit being so casual. You walk slow, you talk slow, you implement things slow, you talk a good game like you're going to be somebody, like you're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can't even write a note down. You're gonna get your ass kicked in business, dude.
In my DNA, I don't know how to think about working for someone. And when you grow up in that world, you learn to kill it and drag it home. You ain't anything to eat, you don't kill something and drag it home. And so very tactical. And so I couldn't spell strategic when we started. And we got large enough that we started hiring these things called MBAs, and these people that actually had, and now over the years I've got a ton of MBAs on the team, and I love the MBA programs. Most of them that are out there, they do a really good job of teaching. But one of the things I learned almost universally about MBAs, they are heavily steeped in strategic thought.
I think that's one of the few things that you learn in basic SEAL training is to shrug your shoulders and go forward. Like one of the things they do is they'll line you up on the ocean. And this is in California, and sometimes people think that California is nice warm water, but it's not. It's 55 degrees, and I don't know what that translates to in centigrade, but it's cold. And one of the things they do is they'll line you up and they say interlock arms, and you get arm in arm with the guy next to you, and they say forward march, and you march in the water, and they say take seats, and you sit down. And they leave you in there. And it's called surf torture. And you just sit there. And after a while, they'll pull you up out of the water, they'll line you up, and the doctor will come down and see if anyone has hypothermia. And if no one has hypothermia or signs of hypothermia yet, get back in the water.
The moment you start thinking you've made it, plateaus around the corner. The moment you fall for the trap of, flattery. And flattery is a very dark thing, and it's used in a very eloquent way by your opponents, and you don't even know it.
Number two is that from a communication perspective, one of the things that I had to really understand, and I'm a pretty people-pleasing person, I enjoy other people, like I'm social, is that when people communicate with you, when people reach out to you, when people text you, when people email you, they actually have an implied ask within the communication from you. It's actually a take. And what that take says is that there's a request to reply. All right, they're asking you to do something, which is to reply to the message. And to illustrate why you can't do this at scale is because let me imagine right now that 500,000 people text you. Do you owe them all a reply? The answer is no, because you couldn't literally do anything else in your life besides reply to those people if that's what you did. And so here's what's crazy. Most people have the time to reply and conflate the fact that they have time with the fact that they are obliged, they are obligated to reply. And so when I show you that 500,000 text example, it's to show you that if I can remove the time from your brain, that means it would be physically impossible for you to reply. You realize that the obligation to reply never existed to begin with.
And I just felt like, how am I gonna make this work? How am I gonna make money? I don't know what my skills are. I don't know what my talents are. This is in 2008 when the economy was crashing. So it kind of felt like it is right now with inflation going up so much right now and people worried about money in the future. I didn't understand. And I needed to find money mentors to start teaching me how to learn about how I can receive money and spend it in a more efficient way. And that was kind of the journey of me starting to figure this out. But if we don't have the tools or the money knowledge, then we're always gonna be stuck in our money story as our money personality style. And so it's getting to understand awareness. How does it feel when I receive money and I spend money? What is the history of the story around money for me? Did my parents fight? Did I feel anxious around money? I used to steal a lot when I was a kid, so I had like some wounds around money. I had people steal from me as well. So I just had all these different wounds that I had to address and get clear on. And I had to learn how to start healing those money wounds.
They're not afraid of having conflict. It's going to happen, especially in startup or smaller businesses where it's more pressure type. Sometimes in bigger companies, one can hide for a few months and no one will know about it. You cannot hide in a small company. So great executives will come in straight up, have a conversation with you and tell you there's a problem.
What are you? Cool? I've seen all kinds of cool guys my whole career. Cool guys go broke. Cool guys have little flashes in the pan. They have a good 2 or 3 years. Players who implement strategies that get focused and intense, they win decades. They win multiple championships. You win for 2 or 3 years. You know how many guys I've known that have made money for 2, 3, 4 years that are ass broke now? You gotta win year after year after year to be a player in business. I'm almost 50 years old, man. I was 21 driving that car. It's a Saturday. I spoke yesterday. I land tonight and go speak for Goldie Hawn tonight. Monday I get up, I've got a loaded calendar. I'm after it. I'm not casual, I want to win.
I always think that when I see other people, because other people, we don't know what they've been through. You don't know what kind of childhood they'd had. You don't know what kind of horrors they've seen. You don't know what kind of abuse they've suffered. You don't know what kind of trials and tribulations other people have faced. So I look at everyone and also the trials and tribulation that someone faces, that's profoundly difficult for them, regardless of what it was. Regardless of if they were a person that, you know, got injured really bad. When they were in high school, they're 15 years old and they broke their leg and they couldn't play their sport anymore, and now they're 17, but that was a traumatic thing for them. And yeah, so when I look at other people, when I talk to other people, I always think every human faces challenges, and you don't know what they've been through. And they might have been through things that are worse than what I've been through. And my assumption is people have been through a lot of challenges, and they persevered through it, and here they are. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.